a neutral role for me because we are talking about the Pakistan-Australia series. I'll be joined by the legendary Pakistan captain, Misbah Haq. Welcome to the ODI Sports channel show, Misbah bhai.
Thank you very much, Vikrant. Good to see you, and obviously we are going to just talk about Australia series. So I think it's always good to analyze the game, talk about the game. So going forward, looking forward for that.
It'll be a pleasure, and I'll also be joined by Simon Helmot. Incidentally, he's in India. I mean, an Australian coach who's in India, and he'd be assisting the Sunrisers Hyderabad team. And Simon, I know there's a lot of pressure on you vis-a-vis the IPL, but as an Australian, you'd also be looking at what is happening in Pakistan between the two teams.
Oh, very much so. Firstly, thanks very much for having me, and great to be joined with Misbah and yourself. What an unbelievable series so far. For the first time for the Australians to tour Pakistan in around 20 years, and what an unbelievable 15 days of cricket we have already seen.
Yeah, and the ICA Sports online channel, it's a new channel, it's a fairly new channel, and the good thing is that they would be doing a lot of cricket shows around the Pakistan-Australia series and the cricket that is going to come. Also the IPL, I suppose. And Misbah, very, very important and integral part of the ICA Sports online platform. In fact, the channel will be run by my dear old friend, Moghiz Ahmed Sheikh, who's the International Cricket Association, the ICA chairman also. And I hope all of you also do shower your love on this channel. The test match, Mr. We were watching in India. The first two test matches were very tedious. People were talking about the pitches more than anything else. Even the third test match, and boom. The fourth day, Australia declare with 351 as the target for Pakistan, and Pakistan lose the test match. Did you anticipate that collapse on the last day?
Actually, Pakistan played very well in the second test match. I think that was the one which was slightly difficult to basically draw, but that normally happens when you are under pressure throughout the series, and then the second test match you just survived that loss which was on the cards, and in the last test match, obviously this pitch was a slightly, you could say, assisting more towards the reverse swing, and little bit more patches for Nathan Lyon also. Sharp turn on the last day. So that, I think, help Australia to get Pakistan out. And normally on these sort of pitches, it's all about the set batsman. Once you get the set batsman out, especially when you are into 40 or 50th over, it becomes very difficult for newcomer to come in and negotiate that reverse swing. And Nathan Lyon, the kind of spin he was getting from the roughs. And I think Australia played very well. They just exerted the pressure, and it was a very good declaration also. They assessed the conditions, pitch, and full credit to them. And obviously, in Asian conditions, especially when you play on these sort of slow, rough pitches, it is very important to who bats first. So, more importantly, Australia in the last two test matches, good tosses to win, and brilliantly, they played brilliantly. Especially Usman Khaja was, I think, the difference between the two teams, because normally it's difficult for a team coming from that part of the world to just get runs on the board here in these sort of conditions. But he was the one who made sure that Australia got enough runs in every test match to put Pakistan under pressure.
So there was a lot of criticism of Pat Cummins when they decided not to enforce the follow-on in the second test match. I mean, Pakistan played brilliantly well, especially Babar Azam on the last day to save the test match. In fact, I think there were suggestions then that maybe Pakistan would also or can also go for victory, which was difficult. But there was criticism then that maybe they should have been forced the follow on. But here, did you do you think the Pakistanis were caught off guard? Maybe they sensed that Australia would bat a little longer, and then the declaration with just 351 runs with a lot of time. Did that catch Pakistan by surprise?
I don't think so. I think normally you see the pattern on a pitch, how many runs been scored every day. So when you see on these pitches that 250 runs in a day is only possible when you play very well against a certain, because after even 10 12 overs the ball just start reversing, and once the ball is reversing and it's getting
Hmm.
low on a slow pitch, it's almost difficult to score 3 and over. So I think Australia know that, and they know that once the team is just battling for the Test series, and it's the third Test match, it is going to be very very difficult to just come and score those runs. And Pakistan might have just thought that they declared a little bit early, but I think they would be definitely expecting maybe 25 more runs, but they will definitely be expecting that they are going to draw, they are going to basically declare on the fourth day. So I think that wasn't the reason. Actually, the reason was the last day pitch, reverse swing, Nathan Lyons bowling, and obviously the kind of bowler Pat Cummins is when the ball is reversing. Stark, one of the best reverse swing bowlers in the world, and especially when it's getting low. And those are the ideal conditions for them. So I think once you get a wicket of a set batsman, then it becomes very difficult for anybody to survive that kind of bowling lineup.
Simon, it's been an interesting series for Australia. I know you are in India with all your focus on the IPL games, but because you also know the Indian conditions, you've seen how well Australia played in Pakistan. They played well elsewhere. Is it fair to say now that Australia perhaps is the only all condition test team in the world right now?
Maybe they've certainly improved in that space. We all know how hard it is to win series overseas, no matter whether it's England, New Zealand, Pakistan, India. But I suppose what surprised us, and a perception that we had, is that we felt there was going to be greater spin-friendly conditions. And I 100% agree with Misbah. The toss was so important in these results. Look, you still had to execute, and our bowlers, Australian bowlers, bowled brilliantly in that last session with a wicket that finally started to deteriorate. In the first match and the second match, we didn't see that deterioration. The spinners went in the play. And so what's fascinated us is the pace bowler has been the general of this competition. The pace bowling group which Pakistan have now are absolutely brilliant. And having worked with a young Nasim Shah in the CPL more recently, we're just seeing Harris Ralph over in the BBL. We're just seeing so much talent coming out from Pakistan. I know your PSL has certainly helped in that process, but I think the conditions weren't too unfriendly for Australia, if I can make that point. We were quite at ease. I mean, Usman Khawaja, I know back to his birthplace, but he was just outstanding. He was playing at ease. The spin was very slow, wasn't it, Misbah? It wasn't fast spin, and so it was very easy for bats to go back on the back foot, and then as soon as they got some length to work with, they could do it. Babar Azam, he is just one of the most extraordinary batsmen to watch. I just thought he was amazing throughout the series. He saved the second test match. He wasn't able to do it in the third test match. You look at about 15 or 20 minutes before he got out, he could hardly hit the middle of the bat. As Misbah said, Nathan Lyon had two areas. He kept going over the wicket into the right-hander, and every now and again one would straighten, one would bounce, okay, unless it hit one of those nice even surface parts. It was very, very difficult for the batsman, and Australia got the job done.
Ms. Bhai, again, the pitches. Why is it that Pakistan prepared these flat pitches? I mean, yes, of course, a big team was traveling to Pakistan. They wanted to have the crowds in, but they could have also looked at their own strength. I mean, why so flat pitches?
Look, to be fair, Pakistan pitches are like that. I always used to say that these are the flattest pitches normally you have, because you don't get turn. When you go to Sri Lanka, when you go to Bangladesh, when you go to India, you normally get a lot of turn there. But in Pakistan, normally, if there is no grass on the pitches, people think that it is going to turn. But always you see Pakistani fast bowlers took wickets whenever Pakistan won series, even in the 90s, even in the early 2000s. Shoaib Akhtar used to just get a lot of wickets. Then Umar Gol, Imran Khan, Wasim Akram, Waqar Yunus. So these pitches are normally batting pitches, because the soil is like that you even don't get that sort of turn on the fifth day, which you normally get in Sri Lanka or India on the first day. So that's something very difficult, and you have to do something extraordinary to just give your spinners some chance in these on these pitches, which we did against South Africa. And a 5 minutes of a heavy roll, and the pitches here in
It's a highway.
Pakistan are flat.
It becomes a national highway.
Doesn't matter how dry these pitches are, but heavy roller for 5 minutes can just take all the turn out of those pitches, and then only reverse swing is one thing that can help. So
Yeah.
what we can do, okay, leave grass, a little bit of moisture, so the ball can just seam around. Still, there is no pace and bounce, but it would definitely seam. But if you want to get spin, and obviously I want to mention the venues. Pindi, you cannot make spin pitch. Either it will be seaming pitch, either it will be flat. Karachi is also like that. It's normally reverse swing. It's flat. You hardly get any sort of turn there. Lahore currently little bit change from the previous nature. The ball just gets a little bit of turn, but it is still very slow. So normally nowadays the pitches which get turned with those are Faisalabad, Hyderabad, and we are no longer playing Test cricket there. So against Australia, you need those sort of venues where your spinners get turned on the first day. Otherwise, if you are waiting for the fourth day or fifth day, then they are in the game. Their fast bowlers are in the game. By then, almost first big inning puts you under a lot of pressure. So personally, I thought that the preparation, 27th final of the PSL, and then after only 4 days, you have to play the test match. All your main players were there, and it took them a lot of time to just basically settle down in test cricket. All those little things basically affected Pakistan team's performance.
Saman, it's the ODIs now, and they start in Lahore. The ODIs, again, Australia, Pakistan, old rivalry, very old rivalry. In fact, there was a time when Pakistan used to have the better of Australia. But of late, Australia somehow do have a grip on Pakistan in different formats. I mean, how do you anticipate the ODIs now?
I think the ODIs are going to be as close as the test matches. I mean, both teams are laden with talent. Obviously, sides are going to change with some players, especially some of the Australian players being rested after a very heavy workload in the test series. Aaron Finch comes over as captain, gives Pat Cummins a break. We're going to see quite a very different bowling unit. I think our whole bowling unit will look very different. So it'll be interesting to see how those players adapt to the particular conditions. I think the trump card for us has been Adam Zampa. We saw how well he was, or how well he performed in the recent T20 World Cup. He's certainly been a cornerstone of our attack. So it'll be interesting to see how he adapts to the conditions here. The one thing about Zamps, he's able to adjust his pace according to the conditions he's playing in. So if it's a slower wicket, he might need to bowl a little bit faster. One thing we know about him, he's very accurate. He attacks the stumps. But we know he's going to be up against some of the best players of spin in the world. So really intrigued to see what the makeup of the Australian side is, who Aaron Finch and the team go with. Obviously, Mitch Marsh has been in formidable form. We've got some options there.
But he's also injured now. So Mitch Marsh is, I think, because of the hip injury, he won't be available.
That would be
That's
a big
huge
out for
setback. Yeah,
that would be a
that's
big
a big
setback for
setback.
Australia, because he has certainly been an important part of the top of the order. Marcus Stoinis and others obviously have had a firm grip. Glenn Maxwell and others in the middle part of the innings. So for Australia, I think look, these guys who are coming in will be just as excited as what the Test match team were, the Test match squad. For the Australian side, it'll still be about accumulating, making as many runs as possible to put pressure on this Pakistan side. Misbah, I have no idea what will be a good score in a 50-over game at Lahore.
Yes.
Normally, Lahore, when we used to play, I mean, 300 plus is the score here. I mean, it's not like a low scoring ground. Obviously, you have already seen even in test matches the flattest pitches. So normally you get even better pitches in the one days.
Yeah.
I think it will be around that. I mean, 300 plus would be the score, and how Australian batsmen will play, because a lot of changes, a lot of them will be playing here for the first time.
Yeah.
And obviously at the top, Warner is such an important player for Australia. He is not there. I might have thought that that would have been a better chance to just maybe play Khaja, the kind of form he was. If others were missing, he could have opened, because he has a great success even in PSL when he played for Islamabad United, and he scored a lot of runs here. But a lot of inexperience in the middle, and obviously then it is going to be a test for Stonius here. He's good against pace, but normally in these conditions, how are you going to just face more spin? That is going to be, I think, important for Australia also. But clearly you see it's a new bowling lineup, no Mitchell Stark, no Hazelwood, no Pat Cummins. That is going to be a great miss for Australia, because in Pakistan at certain stage, even in the ODIs, reverse swing is important. After 20 overs, after 20-25 overs, last 20-25 overs, reverse swing is very important, because you don't get that sort of turn which normally you get in Asia. So how the Australian new bowlers will bowl here in these sort of conditions? Obviously, Pakistan will be playing with their full strength, all their top bowlers, all their top players. So they have the advantage in one days. But let's see, in white ball cricket, you never know. Australia got the talent and they can surprise.
So advantage Pakistan, advantage Australia. What do you think?
Advantage, clearly, you could say with Pakistan in these conditions in ODIs, because Australian team is talented, but most of them will be playing for the first time in these conditions, inexperienced. And Pakistan obviously will be playing with their full strength. So I think Pakistan got a little bit of edge, you could say, in these conditions. And let's see how Australia will go.
Simon?
Yeah, I agree with
Pakistan
Misbah.
advantage?
Yeah, I think so. I think exactly. And I agree with all the points which Misbah made. With the Australian side, the Test side, all those three guys are experienced at being able to bowl and use reverse swing. Behrendorff, probably Abbott's probably one who is conducive to doing that. But maybe with Behrendorff and Ellis and some of the other bowlers we have in the side, they'll need to learn on the run in that situation. Also, I think what we saw with the Test matches, with the wickets, the Test matches, is that as long as you didn't take too many risks, you could bat for as long as you could. And we saw those with great techniques were able to, offset the risk, bat big, bat lots of balls. And you've only got 50 overs now, so you've got to score. So that's where the bowlers may come into play a little bit, the changes of pace, use of the short pitch, and maybe the batters from both teams will have to attack the spinners a bit more. I'm expecting Zampa and Agar to be the significant spinners for Australia. Be interested to hear from Misbah on what he thinks will be the important spin for Pakistan. So that may just bring the game in a bit and may reduce some of the scores, but it should be pretty exciting stuff. We're expecting 300 plus scores.
And for the crowds also in Pakistan after 2009, slowly, it's taken time, but now that top class teams are traveling to Pakistan. It'll be good for the Pakistani team. It'll be good for the Pakistan cricket as well, because they've been generations who've not watched an international game at home. I mean, Azhar Ali, I was reading the other day, Mizwai, was playing his first test match in Lahore, his home city, and he's played more than 90 test matches. Uh, Coming to the Pakistani setup, they seem to have now gone past Sarfraz, Mizwai, Rizwan. Good choice. Somebody who's done so well in all the three formats. Is it really the end of the road for Sarfraz now?
Look, you cannot say anything in cricket. I mean, obviously, Rizwan, at the moment, he's fit, he's performing. And at the moment, obviously, there is no chance for Sarfraz to just get into the side. But still, I think if you just think about a longer version, test matches, ODIs, maybe the replacement after Rizwan, still we think of Sarfraz. But let's see if Rizwan just keep on playing regularly, then I mean, maybe in a couple of years' time, you have to just think about Haris played very well in the PSL, and let's see, he's in the squad also. How he developed into especially 50 overs, and then, but still, I believe the second best wicket keeper for us in the test matches and in 50 overs is Sarfraz. So I think he still have chance, and you never know. You never know in cricket what happens. We'll obviously want that our best wicketkeeper is performing, and he kept on playing. But I mean, in life, anything can happen.
How would Pakistan be looking at this ODI series? I mean, preparation for the next year's 50-50 World Cup? You build a core ODI team, or still experimenting for the T20 World Cup? That's what the Indians have been doing. I mean, they've been using the ODIs for T20 preparation. So, how's Pakistan looking at this series?
I think it's a bit of both. Pakistan already have so many young players in their team, and they need to find out a strong lower middle order, especially in the one days also. Number 5, number 6, number 7, and those are the numbers which are going to be very, very important in the T20 World Cup also. So whoever gets chance, maybe it's Asif Ali, it's Iftikhar, whoever gets chance there at those numbers in the ODIs, definitely those are going to be the prospect for Pakistan in the T20 World Cup. So it's a bit of both, and Pakistan don't have to just chop and change more, because these are the players which normally just plays in the both formats. I mean, only at the top level, Imam goes out in T20 cricket, and Babar and Rizwan comes in. Fakhar Zaman is almost a permanent member of the T20 side, top 3. And then obviously number 4, you have to look for that after Hafiz's retirement. So let's see who is number 4. And maybe he'll be batting at number 5. Maybe he's Iftikhar, maybe he's Asif Ali. So Pakistan, I think it will be important for Pakistan, whoever plays in these ODIs at number 5, number 6, that is going to help them even in the T20 World Cup there in Australia.
Guys, before I let you go, because I've got Simon, I've got Misbah, one word on Babar Azam. I mean, there's this Fab Four that you have in Test cricket, which has Joe Root, Virat Kohli, Stephen Smith, Kane Williamson. Has it changed? Manas Labuschagne and Babar Azam, they were knocking at the doors. Are they there yet? Misbah, I'll start with you.
Yeah, obviously, in case of Babar, I clearly think that he's there. I mean, he has proved himself. Yeah, he has proved himself in every sort of conditions in England and in Australia, in South Africa, here on turning pitches, test matches, T20 cricket, one-day cricket. the way he played against South Africa there in South Africa, I think getting his 100 is in T20 cricket and then getting runs in one-day cricket, and the way he dominated them and getting 100 there in Australia. I mean, he's there because he got the technique, he goes all the shot. He's equally strong on the offside, he's equally strong on the leg side, and he is so good on front foot and back foot, and scare of the wicket and in front of the wicket. So even against spin, I mean, if you talk about defense, talk about attack, his balance, and obviously the other thing, which we used to say that he need to be a match winner also. So he is doing that also. I mean, saving Test match in Karachi, that was some inning. So I clearly think he's there. Labuschagne obviously is a top class Test player, but he needs to prove a little bit more in white ball cricket.
Alien conditions.
Test cricket, he is in the top, but white ball cricket, obviously, he still needs to prove a lot. Not in the T20 side at the moment. One days, obviously, he performed, but not in the same class which all other 4 or 5 are.
Vikrant, it's not a Fab 4, mate. It's a Fab 5. It's a Fab 5 now.
But the saying can only be Fab 4. No? That's been the beauty of this. Somebody has to go out if somebody has to come in.
I think Vs Aus at the moment he's up there. He's one of the best in the world. I mean,
Who goes out of the Fab 4?
Well, maybe
I think at the moment, if you just see, obviously, all other 4 are struggling in different formats. I mean, if you look at Joe Root, he has performed very well in Test cricket, but white ball cricket, I mean, his performances are. Even Williamson at the moment, he is not performing like that. He's a top class batsman. And Virat Kohli also. I mean, from the last 2 years, could not score 100.
2.5
so he's a top class batsman. No doubt about that. His record. But at the moment, out of all these, I think Babar Azam's performance in all 3 formats is better than others.
Who goes out? One player you have to name, both of you.
I think if you just decide on the current performance, I believe it's a tough call, but still I think Joe Reed is only performing, but he's performing in Test cricket. I mean, it's a tough call, especially for Indian fans. But Virat Kohli at the moment is not, because he has just set so high standards for himself that, I mean, he's not creating that impact in the Indian team at the moment. So, I mean, it's a tough call to just leave anybody out, but you cannot leave Babar out of that 4.
I'm not being drawn into this one, Vikrant. That's too difficult a decision. I just think it's so hard because all those players are great. I have Smith in there, not Labuschagne. The Smith's an unbelievable batter for a long period of time. So I think, Root and Kohli haven't been as consistent over the 3 formats where the other players certainly have. And going back on the earlier point, what Bubba did in the second Test after he made 100 and then just committed to batting the whole day the next day just showed that it wasn't just technical stuff. It was leadership, it was mental, it was tactical to ensure that, he stayed off a loss for his country.
Thank you so much, guys. And I hope people who've joined on and watched us on the ICA online platforms would also have enjoyed themselves. You can also send in your feedback. And I hope we can do more shows. In fact, the platform would have more for you in the coming days. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.